And just to let you know, I have chat available. However, when I start sharing screens, it gets pretty small. So if I don't see a question, you may have to raise your hand or interrupt me. I'm more than happy to answer any questions at any time as I go through the review. All right, well, welcome everyone. Let's first start by sharing a page. Let's see. I'm going to share the main screen, our home screen for the university. And what I want to do here is put in the short link for the dissertation page. That's the TDS dissertation page. In case someone doesn't know it, I encourage you to bookmark this link. It's a short link. It's www.camuc.edu/dissertation and enter. Takes you straight to the dissertation page. So this is the page you will be going by as you move through this dissertation process. Once you have completed comps, this is where you come to. Now, be sure and read all I have put in here because somewhere along the line, you'll probably need to know it. One thing I encourage everyone is to use this checklist. It tells you step by step. Let me make sure this gets shared. There we go. And this is what it looks like. Not real pretty, but it's functional. Download it, put it on your computer, share it with your advisor. This is really helpful for them as well as you to keep up with where you are, when you have to do whatever step you are on, and keeps you moving forward. Let me just kind of look through and point out anything I feel like may be overlooked by some people. Of course, you have to be registered for 718 spring and fall. But then you're going to create your committee, work with your advisor on that, and you have dates when you submit it and when you get approval, and the defense of your proposal. I'm not going to go through each line, so just bear with me. I'm just showing you what is available. And you can click this and I have to name it. And you can click that and it checks it off for you. So it should be pretty user-friendly. This is the page for the proposal. And then these are links that are helpful. Then you have a page for final. So you could separate them if you needed to, but I do encourage you to use that as you move through the process. So coming back to this screen, make sure I got it on here. There we go. So the first step, as you understand, is enrolling in 718 and creating a committee. First thing you'll do, the department will help you find your committee chair, the dissertation advisor. We call them several different things, not a good thing, but we call them a dissertation chair, dissertation advisor, your major advisor. It can be just, if you're confused, say, is this my dissertation chair? And that might help. So you'll have a chair and 2 other members at least. One of those other members must be from the department you're in. So if you're in ed leadership, you'll have an advisor in ed leadership and at least one member in ed leadership. And then we ask that you get one out of department committee member. Now, let me address that just quickly. It can be someone in the university in a different department that has some kind of related knowledge or expertise on your subject matter. Or it can be someone from another university or from a corporation even. For counseling, it might be another counselor. So when you have those kinds of situations where it's not someone within your department, This may cause you to, not cause you, but it may delay the approval of the committee because we have to have graduate faculty approval of your committee. Not graduate faculty, graduate school approval of your committee. If that graduate faculty on your committee does not have full graduate faculty status, there's a full graduate faculty status and temporary, then they'll have to get temporary if they don't have it already, and then get approval from the graduate school. That can sometimes delay approvals 2 weeks, sometimes longer if they're non-university, because we require more information from someone from a different university, it sometimes takes even longer. So just be aware. You can even be working on getting information for that person, or letting them know that they will need that information for us prior to submitting the committee form. But if you've already talked to someone and know that they're going to serve on your committee, please feel free to go ahead and submit your committee form. A lot of this information is repeating what I've just told you, and I just want to show this committee form for anyone who hasn't started this process yet. This is the first form you'll be submitting. You'll put new if you don't have a committee in existence, existing if you do have one, but there's a change to your committee. Any change to your committee requires you to submit a new committee form. Now, if it's a change in advisor, the committee form is not required, but a change in advisor form is required. And those are found on the graduate school forms and something. I'll look that up in just a moment, but it's a graduate school webpage. And because it's not handled by TDS per se, so that's why. Can everybody see this form all right? We're okay? Okay. So when you put your campus-wide ID, CWID they call it, it will populate your name, your email. Then you complete this form by putting your degree program and a dissertation title. The dissertation title does not have to be the final title, but close. It can change up until your final defense. So just keep that in mind. So the second page requires you to answer a bunch of questions, yes or no. And this is to help you determine whether you're going to require research committee approval. A lot of our doctoral students require IRB because they are asking individuals for information. Depending on what kind of information is being gathered, will determine how long it takes to get IRB approval. Now, this is not this is not going to affect whether your committee is approved or not. It is just our way of saying, hey, start thinking about this now. So just know that if you answered something yes that later you realize should have been no, it's not a big deal. You don't have to resubmit. This is, as I say, for you to start thinking in that regard. After this page is the approvals page. As I mentioned, sometimes you may have an out-of-department but also non-university person. And this question right here will need to be answered. Is the out-of-department member a non-university? The reason we ask that, because if you say yes, down here, you will put in their name and their email. Now, if it's not non-university, you can put their university name in with a drop down and it will populate for you. So that's why it's important to note whether that person is non-university or not. So again, all of these are drop downs and the emails should populate. And you can always add, if you have more than 2 members, you can add. And then you'll need to put your department, the department head here. Okay? Now, once you submit this form, it goes first to your advisor for approval. That's the first person on your committee. And then whatever committee members you have after that, based on those emails, it will go to them, and they each have to approve. Finally, the department head will approve, and it will come to us for review and approval. If one of your committee members has only temporary graduate faculty, that will require a little delay, usually not too long, a week or two at the very most, for that person to be approved to serve on your committee. Otherwise, you'll get an email once it's approved saying, hey, your committee's approved, here's a copy, and it goes to you and your advisor. Okay? Any questions? Great. Let's go back to the page. Now, you have worked on your proposal and it's ready for defense. You and your advisor and committee have decided, yeah, I think we're ready to move forward and get graduate school approval. When you do that, you will probably want to work with your advisor to prepare any research compliance applications so that once your defense is completed, you're ready to submit for research compliance. And I say you, but really it's your advisor. Only the advisors, chairs of your committee will be able to submit for submit the actual application for IRB approval or whatever approval, research committee approval. When you have set the date for your proposal defense, you will do so by submitting this form, schedule form. And note, these are the requirements for you to move forward with this form. Being a doctoral candidate, completed your proposal, have a committee, and you're in 718. All right. And oops, I went too fast. For the proposal, we require a graduate representative. That is another faculty member on campus who will attend your defense just for the graduate school's purposes, just to observe. And they may ask questions, but they're more for observing whether you know what you're doing and whether you conduct yourself professionally. And they let us know. So that's not done in the final, just in the proposal. Hold on, I see somebody. Proposal format.
Yes, are you going to get to that, Karen? I've sat in on a couple of those, and is there a standard PowerPoint? I mean, I guess that's where I am right now, and when I'm supposed to be presenting as my proposal electronic copy.
For the defense?
Yes.
Okay. The PowerPoint, we don't dictate anything on that end.
Okay.
That's more of your department. They will be the place to go for any guidance on how they want that
presented.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So once the committee is approved, you're ready to move on. Oh, we're on the defense, sorry. And after you submit, no, I'm going to back up again. This is where I was, sorry. When on this first page, you want to upload a copy of your proposal. And that is for our graduate representative to review before they attend your defense. Here again, you put your campus-wide ID. Most of this will populate. If it doesn't, you know what to do. Just fill in the blank. If it's a Zoom defense, put Zoom. Here's the date and time, and then again, your title. Anything with a red asterisk is required to be completed. Once more, your committee has to approve and the department head. That's mainly so it ensures that they have been notified of the defense and that they have already agreed to the time and date. Not all defenses are online, but 99.9 are anymore in the doctoral field. Thesis maybe sometimes on campus, but I haven't seen an on-campus defense for a doctoral program in a while.
Okay, thank you.
COVID, I think. All right. So once this is submitted, it goes through the process of approvals. This comes to the graduate school after everyone is approved. I may mention now, good as time as any, when you submit something, please try to submit it 3 to 5 days prior to the date you want it to arrive at the grad school. For instance, if your deadline, for instance, on the proposal defense is the 20th of February, start that process at least 5 days before that 20th date, because it has to get everyone's approval, and they may not be in the office that week, or they may be busy and miss your email. For any reason that it's delayed, you don't want to be the victim of not knowing. So always try to start it early. Let all your committee members know that you have submitted this form, or a form of any sort, even a committee form, so that they can be on the lookout for an email. They'll be notified by email that they have this form to review and approve. Now, once we receive it in grad school, it goes to Dayla Bergen. She is like our doc coordinator. She took Vicki Turner's place. Some of you may know Vicki, some of you may not, but Dayla has sort of taken over her duties. Once she receives it, she's going to go through a process of clearing you, making sure you qualify to defend. And she only does this after the 20th, after everyone has submitted by that deadline. So you will get an email maybe 3 to 5 days after that from Dayla confirming you have been put on the schedule for defense. If you have any concerns that you are not on the schedule, give Dayla a call or me a call, shoot either one of us an email. We both can check what we call the Laserfish dashboard. It shows the workflow and shows where it is in the process of approval. And we can give you some idea of where it is, who needs to still approve it. And we usually ask you to follow up with whomever is left to approve it. So just be prepared for that. All right. Let's go to our next step. We have now defended. You may have some changes to make to your proposal before submitting it to grad school for approval. Keep in mind that if you submitted for research compliance such as IRB approval, you'll need to wait until your advisor receives that approval. They receive a letter confirming approval, because we will require a copy of that letter, that approval letter, with your submission. And I'll show you when I show you the form. So we're now ready to submit the proposal. Before you do, excuse me, I am going to suggest you definitely look at the template and make sure your document complies with our graduate school template. And if you didn't notice me do that, let me do that again. You're in the proposal section, and we'll go over this verbiage a bit in a second, but I first want you to see that for your template, you go to TDS Resources for Writing. Here are the guides. They're on the same page as this. You're going to go to the Graduate School Templates and Guides. Scroll down, and here's the template. Doctoral students, this is going to be the template you use. These are thesis student templates that they may use. So when you get your template, when you pull up this template, let me just show you what it looks like. Okay, and here we go.
I have a quick question with the template. For some of us that have been working on this before the name change,
Yeah.
I just went in and changed the name. Is that appropriate? And I'm assuming our editors and things will help catch any other little glitches. And I guess I would assume that this template really doesn't change a lot per year for especially people who have been working on it.
Not a lot,
Okay.
except for
The name change.
Yeah,
That was probably
there
the
might be
biggest
a
one
few.
last year.
Yeah. And basically, when I review, I check for things like that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's my job, in fact, is to make sure your document adheres to these requirements. So anything in red, you should replace with your text. Okay?
Correct. Thank you.
Yeah. And you'll see I give you as detailed instructions as I feel like I can, but I know everything's got room for improvement. So please let me know if you see anything that's confusing or you need added. What you want to do is, let me point out some important things for proposal stage. You see, your proposal abstract should include the purpose, literature review, and procedures. Excuse me. That is not like an in-depth abstract, but it should be, 2 or 3 sentences, a small paragraph at least, and it can be longer. And notice all of these spacings, they're all very important to the graduate school. Acknowledgement, some things don't have to be completed right away, like acknowledgements, but do include a placeholder page for anything that you're going to include in your final document. Here's the table of contents. I know you can do some word creations of table of contents, but you'll end up having to retype it. So I encourage you just to work from the template rather than using those word organization tools in that case. Same with the references. Now, the tables, if you don't have more than one table in your document, don't include a list of tables. Same for figures. If you do have more than one, you're going to include this. And it should match exactly the title you've given it in the document. All right. One other thing I want to touch on with this is the chapter headings. We provide what we expect to see in a final document is, of course, an introduction of some sort, literature review, the methods, data you use to test your subject or will be using to test your study, and then the results and a conclusion. We expect that information to be in your document. Now, saying that, not every chapter is going to read the same. You may have an introduction, and it could be introduction to E.B. White's literature, if you're a literature student. And then the literature review is pretty common, but it can also be included in your introduction. So you may end up with 4 chapters rather than 5, or you may end up with 6 because you have extra information you need to include. The number of chapters do not matter as long as we see that you're covering each of those 5 subjects in some way. All right? Any questions about that part? All right. Well, we will close that out. Oh, I got right out of there. All right, back to where we were. Now, also, you want to check out the formatting guide. That guide gives you a little more information. Okay, good. It gives you a little more information. Hey, what's that? I'm sorry. Wouldn't go away. More details about what everything is supposed to look like, as well as some examples of figures and tables, so you will understand. And I'll reference that, because when I do my reviews, I do an in-depth checklist, and I make references to pages in the guide or even in a style guide if need be. So while we're on this page, I also want to point out that we have style guides. APA doesn't have it online, but they do provide a lot of information online, which I know most of you will probably be using APA. The MLA 9th edition is online, so if you're in the humanities, you may use MLA, Chicago, or Turabian. Those are often used for the humanities. So just be aware that is available to you here, as well as, let me go back there because I wanted to finish this up. Someone in our office, research librarian, can provide you guidance on good sources, how to access, how she's a wealth of information for good database, credible sources. She's more than happy to meet in person or Zoom. She has office hours though, so please do use her email or call her to set up an appointment if you'd like to meet with her and talk with her. And then I have just a few writing resources for just the grammar, style, that kind of information. Okay. All right. So you have created your committee. You have defended your proposal. Now you're submitting your proposal after it's been formatted. When you submit, along with the form will be the Word formatted, the dissertation in Word, a current authenticate report, which shows the similarity between your document and other published material. It gives a percentage of similarity, and we have a cap of 12%. If it's more than 12%, work with your advisor to see if you can reduce that to 12 or less. If the advisor and you both decide this is not going to work, I can't do any more to make it less similar, then the advisor must provide TDS, me, with an email stating the reason for it's called a justification for the overage. And it could be the terminology that's being used is common in your field, and so it's used in other documents that are published. So just know, don't panic if you get a higher than 12%. We will work with you and accept it over 12% if we agree that there's a reason for it to be over 12%. And then you're required to do certain training, and the Research Compliance Group in the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs can help you determine what you need to complete. These are all things that are going to be required with your submission. Now, if your study does not require research compliance approval, then you won't have an IRB, IACUC, or IBC letter. But if it does, then you must have that letter as well. The authenticate report and this approval letter are both provided to you by your advisor. So if you don't have it, that's who you'll go to, okay? So I want to show you the form. And this gives you all the information that is required before you should submit. Again, you put your CWID in and decide it should populate. I'm going to interrupt myself and answer two of these questions real quick. I will address the deadline for proposal defense in just a moment, and then we can verify we did the correct step. Oh, again, go to researchcompliance.camuc.edu. So that they can determine what, in fact, they probably will assign you what is required for your research training. The deadline for proposal defense is the 20th of the month prior to the month you're going to defend. So if you're defending in March, you'll need to have your proposal defense form into the graduate school by the 20th. If that 20th is Saturday or Sunday, you want to have it into us by the Friday prior. And as I mentioned, you want to start that submission process early enough so everyone gets an opportunity to approve prior to the deadline.
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry, I have some hearing issues. So if I wanted to defend in March, I need to make sure 5 days before March 20th or February 20th? The month before? The month before. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
No, great question, and I'm glad to repeat that because it is important that you get it in the month before the month you have a defense scheduled. So a March 5th deadline defense would require a February 20th deadline. And as I say, if it's on the 20th, if 20th is on a weekend, it's the Friday prior. I also recommend that when you submit any form, let your committee know, each of your committee know, so they know to be expecting it and they can help move this process on. And I'll interject here something I usually say later, but I think it's fine to say now. If you need to know where your submission is in the process, Dayla Bergen and I both have access to a dashboard that can give us some idea of where it is, who has not approved. And we normally ask that you follow up with whomever needs to approve still. Sometimes if it's at the department head stage or dean stage, and dean of the college, by the way, is dean of your college, not the dean of our graduate school college. So be sure to get the right dean on your form too. But in those cases, if they're still outstanding over a couple of days, I may go ahead and resend. I have an option to resend that notification email. So I can do that too if we feel like it's not moving forward and our deadline's looming. Okay, now back to the form. Again, as I say, the CWID should populate pretty much everything. And you'll need to add the style guide. The style guide is generally APA for most doctoral students, but it may be MLA or another for humanities students. So please be sure to put that in and what edition you went by. And these are the documents you're required to upload: the proposal, the authenticate report, the CITI training reports. And this doesn't have a red asterisk because some studies do not require research compliance approval. But if it does, here's where you submit the IRB or other compliance committee approval. Okay. So once you have completed this page, this is where it should populate your committee based on your committee form. So if it doesn't, let me know, or I think everybody has a a drop down. You can also select them, but if you don't find them, let me know. Committee members, although it doesn't show anything here, it will when based on your committee form. And the department head has to be inserted. Again, these are drop downs, so find the department head and college dean and put their names in. Okay? You'll hit submit. You'll receive a page saying, hey, it's been submitted. That just means it's been submitted to the digital process, not to me. So again, just a reminder, that still has to go through the whole approval process. Okay? All right, well, we're going to move on from here to preparing for your final defense. So once you have completed your proposal, that is when your advisor will be submitting for your compliance approval letter. And you cannot submit for, wait, I need to back up. I think I said something incorrectly. Once you complete your proposal defense, that's when your advisor will submit for your compliance approval. And they are the only ones that can submit for your compliance approval. And that is what I was referring to is required for your proposal submission. So now we've finished the proposal and we are finished with our final. We've gathered all the data and we have finished the last 2 chapters of the document. You're ready to defend, at least based on your committee opinion, you are ready to defend. If you think you're ready, you'll need to go to your advisor and committee to make sure they agree that you're ready to defend. Hopefully they've all had a chance to see the most recent version, although I have had committee members who have not seen the final. Let's hope that doesn't happen in your case. This tells you what is required for your defense. Again, it's the Friday prior to the 20th. Something to be aware of, though, in this case, for your final is the final is due, the final document is due, for instance, April 5th. That means you have to have had a defense by March 28th. That's the deadline for final defenses. To have a final defense, as we've already said, you must have a schedule form submitted in February. Let me do that again. Okay, you're submitting your final. You must have defended your final before you can submit for your final. So you've got to defend by March 28th. That's in all of our deadlines, so be aware of all of our deadlines. That means you have to submit your schedule form in February. This is the time when it's important to get it in the month before the month you defend. If it's a proposal, you have a little more leeway during the semester, but not for your final. Okay. Again, all of this is pretty much standard. The only thing you'll need to do is add the location again, date and time, and you should have your final dissertation title by then. And again, this will hopefully populate your committee chair as well as your committee members, and you'll need to insert your department name. Okay? Same situation applies here. Dayla, it goes to Dayla Bergen for review. She'll check that you qualify to defend on the date and time you have put. Of course, it can't be past the deadline, which is March 28th for this semester, and you have to have a proposal approval by then. So those are the primary things. You will not hear from her, though, until after the 20th. So if you submit and you haven't heard anything within 5-6 days, feel free to contact us, one of us, and we can let you know whether it's been received. We can't say, hey, yeah, you're guaranteed to be on the schedule, because Dayla has to clear you for that. And then she'll send an email. It's usually 3 to 5 days after the deadline. And it goes to all students who are defending both proposal and final, an email. And it tells you, yes, you're set, you're cleared to defend. All right, once you have successfully defended your final, you'll make any changes the committee has recommended and be ready to submit your final. These are the required documents: your Word document with your dissertation, a current Authenticate report, again, if it's over 12, justification required. And then there is a dissertation information sheet. and a survey of earned doctorates. Those both are attachments to the email you'll receive from DALA regarding your defense. This is only for final, and you'll all need to complete the dissertation information sheet. It is an attachment to that email she sends. And then those students who are working on their PhD, they will complete the survey of earned doctorates, and it provides a certificate that's required to submit with the final submission. When DALA sends you her confirmation email about your defense, she provides a lot of good information, so be sure and read through that. And it reiterates any deadlines that might be looming for you. Okay, and I will go back to the review process in just a moment. First, here's the final dissertation submission. These are all the requirements to be able to submit a final. One important one to notice is that you must have proposal approval at least one semester prior to your final. That's usually not a problem for doctoral students, but in case yours is not requiring a lot of data, you may be in a position to have a final ready by the end of the semester. You've gotten proposal approval. Even so, you still have to, you will not get to graduate the same semester you have proposal approval. You will have to wait till the next semester. That's just a requirement to hopefully help our students. And okay, good question. It's asking if we defend our proposal in spring, can we defend our final in the summer? You can even defend in the spring. It's just you can't submit your final in the spring. You could even submit it at the beginning of the summer, but no matter, you can't graduate until after that spring semester. So to reiterate, you can defend in the same semester you have proposal approval, but you cannot graduate and submit your final in the same semester you've gained proposal approval. Okay? And this is pretty much as we have seen earlier. Here's where you upload your documents. And I'm going to go to an approval. Again, this is all populated from the committee form. So if in the meantime, between proposal and final, something goes changes in your committee, that's why it's important to have a committee form updated and submitted, because it will change and have the correct committee members listed. If you don't submit that new committee form, if a change occurs, you'll have old committee members and we won't be able to accept your submission. All right. Now, to address the review process itself. In the proposal stage, I review it once. I review your document for adherence to our formatting requirements and to see that you have adhered to your basic style requirements. That means I'm checking that your tables, figures are formatted like your style has requested or required, and that your references are in the format and style that they require. Those are two things that I will check as far as style goes. There may be a few other things I notice that I'll put in extra comment, so be sure and check those too. But generally, that's all I'm going to look at in proposals. And I will send it to you with an extensive checklist. You make those changes in your proposal and keep incorporating those as you complete your document. When I send you the checklist for the proposal, that you do not need to return the proposal to me. That's just for you for guidance for your final. Now, when we get the final submission, that is going to be reviewed until it's acceptable for, it meets the requirements of graduate school formatting. So I may look at it 2, 3, sometimes 6 times. I hope not, but sometimes it is. Also, if there is a lot of work that I see needs to be done, I will recommend that you use an editor. A lot of students already have that budgeted in. That's great because they're expensive. But please understand that we do not require you to use an editor. We just recommend, because things will go more quickly and more smoothly for you in the long run if you have an editor. We also provide, when we recommend an editor, a list of editors that have been recommended to us. They're not necessarily vouched for by the graduate school, but I try to keep only good ones on the list. And they are student recommended editors. So they have experience with a lot of our requirements. Okay. Any questions before I just summarize with the final graduation ceremony requirements?
Karen, do you have a copy of the list available of the editors that we could get from you prior to you saying you need one?
Mm-hmm. Sure. If anybody does, just email me and I can send it to you. I'll be more than happy.
What if advisors are saying, do not get an editor?
Let us know.
Okay.
Okay. Because
I will.
I understand that they don't want you to spend more money than you have to. We totally get that. But we would like to know their reasoning so we can maybe tell them of options that they can offer students. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? All right. So you get that final email from TDS saying, you've been approved, your final document's good. Then you have to upload that document to ProQuest, which is the company we publish our dissertations and theses through. When you do that, you will be required to pay a $75 copyright fee and $30 for one copy of the dissertation. That dissertation goes to your advisor. It's a university copy, but it's going to your advisor. You can buy personal copies at that time if you'd like, but that's all we require for you. And once that process is done, you will then be cleared only when you've paid 2 graduate school fees, if they haven't been paid already. A $73 thesis and dissertation processing fee is applied to your student account when you submit your final, not until. So it may not be at the beginning of the semester you see it, but after you submit your document, it will be in your student accounts. The other fee is the graduation fee. So the $40, I think it is, graduation fee, those 2 fees will need to be paid before I can clear you. And then I send that clearance to Dayla for her final clearance. All right. I think we're good now. All right. Well, listen, I have recorded this. I will post it online once I get it converted, and I wish you guys all the luck. If you have any other questions that you think of later, I'm here. Email me, call me. You can even, I'm more than happy to meet with anyone person to person or via Zoom if you need me to. And I can help you with questions you have. Sometimes, you know, I'm pretty good with APA. So APA I can help you with if need be. And definitely the word stuff, like how do you make a page number, you know, on this page, but not on that page. I can help you with stuff like that too. So just let me know. All right. Well, have a great day, and good luck with your final. Yes. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Bye.